Hey guys, Murdy's here, and today I have another game that I think you guys are really going to be excited about. But before I begin, I just want to say if you've watched any of my videos before, you know how I like to keep things short and sweet, staying on the main topic all the way through to give you guys the most information possible in a short amount of time. For most games, the system works pretty well. However, there is so much in Chronicles of Elyria that I think you should be excited for. I really had a hard time making a short video. Because of this will be the first video in a series of why you should be excited for Chronicles of Elyria. So let's get started. I'm going to assume that you already heard a bit about Chronicles of Elyria. So you already know it will be a sandbox MMORPG specializing in player involvement and player meaning. And that's kind of where I want to start. Player meaning. The number one thing in my mind that sets apart Chronicles of Elyria from the rest of these open world sandbox MMORPGs currently being developed is the fact that your character is virtually a ticking time bomb. Meaning, just like real life, after a certain amount of time or events that happen to your character will die. For good. And this is something that no player in the world will be able to avoid in Chronicles of Elyria. Most traditional MMORPG players may step back a little and ask, where's the progression then? I don't want to play on a character, investing hundreds of hours just to see my progress die over and over again. I thought the same thing too, but the more I began to understand just what this death system meant, and the more I became excited. And not only that, but the more I started to think, why has this never been implemented before? There's so much to get into when it comes to death alone, but I think we should start with the average lifespan of a character. An average character who doesn't take much risk and enjoys a safe approach to gameplay will live between 12 to 14 months of real time. Meaning in Chronicles of Elyria, your character starts at the age of 12 or 14, depending on the type of soul you wish to have, and I'll get to that in a second. But throughout the 12 months of real time, your character will age from possibly age 12 to 95. No matter how safe you play the game, you'll always age in this amount of time. The only thing that can change, however, is how you play the game. If you're an active adventurer who frequently finds yourself in danger, you may find that your character will meet his end much faster. In fact, if your character found him or herself constantly dying every day, your character would only live 4 to 6 months of real time, pretty much half that of your other toon. But how do we know that? Well, we know this because every time your character's soul is ripped from the physical world or your character physically dies, your soul's lifespan loses a total of 2 real days. So while dying once or twice may not seem like a big deal, dying multiple times over a period of time is kind of a scary thing. But question again, why is it scary? I mean, wouldn't that just mean I'd have to make another character when my character did die and everything would be alright? Well, yes and no, and this is where I want to talk about souls. Because souls not only have to do with death and progression, but also a business model. When you buy the game for the first time, you'll be given one single spark of life. After your character dies, your account will have already spent that spark of life, and you'd be unable to create another character until you purchased a second spark of life, which will be at a price point of $30 a piece. This is why Chronicles of Elyria gives your character meaning, because depending on how you play the game, determines basically how much value you give your $30. But okay, death gives my character worth and meaning, and overall knowing my character dies, it's me who will be paying for another one. Where's the progression again? Well, it's all in what I was talking about before, your character's soul. I'd like you to think of this as an advanced reincarnation. But just like everything about this game, it gets a little complicated, so I'll start out slow. As you do things, your character acquires talents towards that specific thing. There's no experience bar or levels, just these talents. Now, we know that recently these talents are character bound. However, let's say your first character died and was a master swordsmith. You'll find that as you start smithing swords with your new character, you'll not only progress extremely fast, but start to find yourself surpassing the capabilities of your last character. So you see, in MMORPGs, we're always looking to progress to make our character better than before. And in Chronicles of Elyria, progression means dying. But what about your character's possessions, your great armor, and wonderful castle you left behind in death? This is where preparing for the future becomes as important in a game as in real life. Because if you manage in your character's lifetime to have children, through what I believe will be called the will system, you can write basically a will for your character that say your belongings will be given to your next of kin. And that next of kin, if you so desire, will be you. But again, maybe you didn't do so great, and you didn't leave any noteworthy things behind, but you noticed the NPC merchant seemed to live life as a king. Well, after you die, and no other player's done so, you can put your soul into the NPC. Your lifespan will most definitely be cut in half, depending on the age of the NPC, but everything the NPC owned is yours now. It's just so awesome what death in Chronicles of Elyria can unlock. I come from a lot of hardcore games where dying meant the end of everything, so when I first heard about Chronicles of Elyria, I thought that to be true, but it's not. So to be told that a game that takes dying as a way of progression, well, I just think that's unique, and it gets me excited every time I think about it. But what do you guys think? Would you be okay playing an MMO where you know your character's going to die? Tell me in the comments below. And if you haven't already, go make sure to check out chroniclesofelyria.com. And if you want to make an account, don't forget to add my friend code at the bottom to help me out. I've been Meridius, and I'll see you next video where we talk about class system and roles.